And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you, Aquaba, and welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Rasta Report here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, here on livinginblack.com. My name is Katie Owado, aka the Conscious Rasta. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live, excuse me, from 9 a.m. Pacific Time, that's 12 noon Eastern Time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East Africa Time. We get together with you. And we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives, entertainment, economics, education, health, labor law, politics, religion, family studies, future studies, all areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date, Monday. It is the 18th day entertainment, economics, education of November 2024 in the Western calendar. This corresponds to the year 6265 in the Kemetic calendar, to which we have realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, and livinginblack.com. Let's go into today's topic. This is a continuation of our ongoing series of conversations. The book that is, I'm getting near to the latter parts of the book, and I am still finishing up another book, both to come out during the month of December. So we're pressing the clock at this particular point. This book is entitled Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. Let's go into today's theme, which is based upon the idea of conscious cooperation for a sustainable future. Conscious cooperation for a sustainable future is today's dialogue. Let me just make sure we got... Okay, here is the introduction to the dialogue. And I'm writing on several papers at the same time. Been doing a lot of writing or research this morning. And let me find the actual introduction to the show before I go into the book chapter. Here is the introduction again. Conscious cooperation for a sustainable future. Our ideal strategy to prepare for a disaster would be powerful enough to avert such disasters of the present and for the future. Ours is not merely reactive preparation, but ultimately preventive. Our predecessors and ancestors have suffered more than enough for this generation to figure out which widespread behaviors and tactics would allow us to avoid repeating catastrophic mistakes that lead to conflict. Yes, this sounds utopian, and one need not feel any need to apologize for using the imagination to strive for the closest to perfection that our intelligence can attain. So that is the central theme for today's conversation. I do appreciate, love you being in the house today, whether you are with us on our streaming website at Rumble, which is our main broadcast channel. You may be with us as we broadcast every day, all day long on our TuneIn app. Or you may be with us on YouNow, which is one of my favorite places to hang out. We welcome you to the conversation. You have found your family in a peaceful place. So let's go into this. And I'm now going to switch to the book chapter and start reading from there. Now, what I need to do also, as I'm switching to the book chapter, let me just real quickly free up some resources so that we don't get trapped in that zone where stuff be crashy when I'm using Word and broadcasting at the same time. You know how it is. You don't know how it is, but I know you do know how it is. Here we go. So the chapter is entitled Conscious Cooperation for a Sustainable Future. Now, I just really quickly want to bring you up to date. In the book so far, we've covered the introduction, the first chapter after the introduction, World War I, the beginning of the end of the age of empire, World War II, the rise of fascist order, World War III, the Cold War blazed hot for millions of victims, World War IV, the global onslaught against Islam, World War V, World War V, a global elite versus the workers' middle class. In World War VI, the rise of BRICS plus resistance to Western domination. So according to those analysis people, we've already undergone decades of World War III. We've already undergone decades of World War IV. We've already entering into probably about our third decade or more of World War V, the globalists against the workers. And now we are staring at the opening salvos and increasing level intensification of World War VI. So after those descriptions, then we started to talk about disaster preparedness. So after that, the chapter entitled Game Theory for Master's Level Study. The next chapter, A Dollar Saved is a Dollar Earned. 50 strategies. That brings us up to today's chapter, Conscious Cooperation for a Sustainable Future. I like to begin these chapters with a definitive quote. And I use two quotes to open up this particular chapter. The first one by Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of the United Nations. He said, "We need to work together to build a sustainable future. The challenges we face are global, and they require global solutions." Kofi Annan. A second quote I share here is from a person who I regard to be my spiritual intellectual jegna. Mentor is the Greek word. We don't mentor, we jegna. And that is Dr. Kalestis Juma, who's now in the realm of the ancestors, praise be his eternal name. He is the author of his most recent book, Innovation and Its Enemies, Why People Resist New Technologies. And he shared this quote, of which I am in complete accord. He said, "Innovation is not just about technology. It's about people, institutions, and policies. Sustainable development requires a fundamental transformation of the way we think about innovation, from a focus on individual gains to a focus on collective well-being." Dr. Kalestis Juma. I began to write this chapter with the subchapter, Key Concepts for the Paradigm Shift. And you'll recognize this from the introduction to today's program. Our ideal strategy to prepare for disasters would be powerful enough to avert such disasters in the present and for the future. Ours is not merely reactive preparation, but ultimately preventive. Our predecessors and ancestors have suffered more than enough for this generation to figure out which widespread behaviors and tactics would allow us to avoid repeating catastrophic mistakes that lead to conflict. Yes, this sounds utopian, and one need not feel any need to apologize for using the imagination to strive for the closest to perfection that our intelligence can attain. Key concepts to serve as foundation for a paradigm shift in planetary consciousness include, but are not limited to, let me make sure I put that in, include, but are not limited to, awareness, civilization, compassion, collaboration, community, consciousness, cooperation, creativity, culture, democracy, development, empathy, equality, generosity, humanism, idealism, inclusivity, intelligence, interconnectedness, innovation, mindfulness, peace, prosperity, society, spirituality, sustainability, visionary, and utopian. This is not an exhaustive list, but it should allow sufficient inspiration for important dialogues to be initiated and inspire us to collective work, cooperation, and responsible actions. I should say responsible and responsive actions. Going forward, I next have a subchapter. And let's start putting these pieces, these elements into place. This subchapter is entitled Bioregeneration for a Sustainable Planet. We look at a new field of science in sustainable ecology called bioregeneration. Within this philosophy, the planet is a synergistic closed loop where any output from one system is not regarded as waste, but as an input for the next system. Let me repeat that because this is a radical concept, and I just had to do a little correction in the middle of that. Let me repeat that so you can hear that idea. I want to plant this seed, this powerful seed within your rich soil of your mind. We look at a new field of science and sustainable ecology called bioregeneration. Within this philosophy, the planet is a synergistic closed loop where any output from one system is not regarded as waste, but as an input for the next system. As animals and plants exchange carbon dioxide for oxygen to sustain both systems, we can extend this functional mutuality under bioregeneration to increasingly more sustainable practices. Bioregeneration, in the context of sustainable ecology, refers to the use of biological processes to restore ecosystems, enhance biodiversity, and promote ecological sustainability. This approach often involves leveraging natural systems, such as using living organisms to rehabilitate degraded environments, improve soil health, and restore habitats. The goal is to create a balance between human activities and ecological health, ensuring that natural resources are used responsibly and sustainably. Bioregeneration can also be referred to in a medical context. It involves creating biological systems, organisms, or biomaterials to regenerate or replace damaged or diseased tissues, organs, or entire biological systems. This field combines biotechnology, biomaterials, and tissue engineering to develop innovative therapies and products for regenerative medicine. Bioregeneration aims to restore or enhance natural biological functions, promoting cellular healing, tissue repair, and organ regeneration. Let's examine private sector organizations advancing this technology concerning environmental and ecological sustainable development. And I have a number of companies listed here. I see I'm going through the list, a total of 19 different companies. Real quickly, let's introduce you, our listening audience, to these companies. And let me just also take a moment here and introduce you, our listening audience, to today's show. I do see you, my beloved sister, Africa One, Hetep, Brother Kitty, and global LIB family. Hetep to you, beloved. Greetings, peace, using the ancient Kemetic language. We wish you peace and prosperity, and I hope you're staying warm. I'm here in Las Vegas. 1 month ago, it was still touching 100 degrees every day, and now the nighttime temperatures have fallen down to 100 degrees. That would be what, 37.5 degrees centigrade, and now we see nighttime temperatures dipping down to, in Fahrenheit, about 30, the low 30s, which would probably be what, about the 10 degrees or so. I'm not converting it all in my mind, centigrade, but it's getting much cooler. But nonetheless, we are adaptive. Aquava, I hope you are in good spirits today, and the sunless islands. Let us continue with our text. We are talking about these. I'm sharing a list of key concepts in a private, no, these are private sector organizations that are advancing this technology of bioregeneration. Number one, ecotone. Ecotone, ecological restoration services and products, including native plant seeds and soil amendments designed to create supportive systems that promote biodiversity. Other services include habitat restoration and the creation of green infrastructures. Now, I'm sharing this list for the very specific purpose of informing, inspiring, and exciting you and I to collaborate, cooperate, and create parallel businesses of our own. These are, in my mind, champions of sustainability, biodiversity, and bioregeneration. And so therefore, we would be best to replicate as much as possible, to reverse engineer. Number two on the list, biohabitats. Ecological restoration and design services, including living shorelines, green infrastructure solutions, and habitat enhancement projects. Number three, TerraCycle. Recycling and upcycling solutions for hard to recycle waste, including products made from recycled materials that promote a circular economy. Again, circular economy, that's bioregeneration. Number four on this list of 19, green mountain technologies. Composting systems and technologies that promote organic waste recycling and soil regeneration, contributing to sustainable waste management practices. And I touch on this in no small part in the book, The Blackest Soil Africa Can Feed the World, about this regenerative process and how, done right, all of the systems sustain each other symbiotically. Number five, living roofs. Green roof systems that enhance urban biodiversity, improve air quality, and manage stormwater, contributing to sustainable urban ecology. Number six, the Soil Health Institute. Products, research, and educational resources focused on improving soil health through regenerative agricultural practices and promoting sustainable farming and ecosystem restoration. We're up to number seven. TerraPath provides carbon offset solutions and supports projects that restore ecosystems, such as reforestation and wetland restoration. Number eight, Biomimicry 3.8 focuses on designing solutions and offering consulting services and educational resources to promote sustainable practices. The business offers nature-inspired design principles to create innovative designs in architecture, product design, and urban planning. Number 9, and I'm getting inspired as I read this. My imagination is flying. For Africa One, I know you're with me today. I'm sure there are others that out there that feel the same way that you and I frequently express with each other, how we feel about managing our collective resources on this planet, managing our collective destiny, managing our ethnicity and the family of humanity. I feel how you feel, my beloved sister. This is why I always appreciate, love you being in the family, and others feel the same way too. Unfortunately, far too often they're not active, and it's hard for us to identify people who will never poke their head up out of this obscurity. Sometimes we have to poke our head up, just type in a few words and let others know I'm here. I like what I'm hearing. I feel I can contribute to this. So we encourage people, be active, get active, see yourself as a critical component of the sustainable solutions. We're up to number 9, restoration agriculture development. Develops and promotes agroforestry practices that regenerate soil health and enhance biodiversity in agricultural systems. Number 10, green blue. Works on sustainable materials management and promotes the use of regenerative materials in product design and manufacturing. Number 11, the Nature Conservancy. Engages in various ecological restoration projects and offers programs aimed at conserving and restoring natural habitats. Number 12, Soil and More. Focuses on regenerative agriculture by providing products and services that enhance soil health and promote sustainable farming practices. Number 13, Restoration Ecology. Specializes in ecosystem restoration projects, including reforestation and wetland rehabilitation. Restoration. Okay, there was another one, Restoration Agricultural Development, and this next company I just mentioned, Restoration Ecology. Number 14, Biohabitats. This company focuses on ecological restoration, conservation planning, and regenerative design. Number 15, EcoPlanet Bamboo. Develops sustainable bamboo plantations for carbon sequestration and habitat restoration. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm loving what I'm reading, people. I hope you're hearing it too. Number 16, Ecovative Design. Ecovative Design. I think that's Ecovative Design. Produces biodegradable packaging materials and building products using mycelium-based technology. Number 17, Biochar Solutions. Creates biochar products for soil amendment, carbon sequestration, and waste management. Number 18, Greenware. Develops regenerative ocean farming systems that restore marine ecosystems and provide sustainable seafood. Number 19, the Land Institute. Works on developing perennial grain crops and sustainable agricultural practices to improve soil health and reduce erosion. And I would also add to this list 3 companies that I am developing include the African Future, which is about sustainable agriculture and health strategies. I'll clean all this up later. The second company being the George Washington Carver Organic Farming Laboratories. And the third one being, let me try and remember. My brain is on one thing. I got to return it because as I was reading the others, I was thinking about the ones that I'm doing. Very important. Kujichagulia villages, permaculture campuses. Many of you know about the work that I've done. So I just wanted to add those three companies that I am developing. We also have, I would add more, the Pan-African Agricultural Development, PAADI, Development Institute. Now, I'm ready, willing, and able to cooperate, collaborate with each and every one of you who would like to step forward and join with your brother. If you believe you have something positive to contribute towards these ideas, again, the African future, which is sustainable agriculture and health strategies. Now, I would say sustainable African agriculture and health strategies. The health strategies are, of course, international, but the agricultural development of the African future is on the continent, even though one of the properties affiliated is based in the United States. So going forward, these companies, along with many others, are contributing to sustainable ecology by promoting regenerative practices and innovative solutions to restore and protect natural ecosystems. As I read through the descriptions of these innovative companies, I became ever more enthusiastic about the future that our progressive Pan-African community could create by collaborating with these progressive businesses, filling any gaps that we might determine could make such efforts even better. So nothing wrong with working with already existing progressive companies that are in these fields, learning from them, cooperating with them, sharing resources with them. Nothing wrong with that. The future belongs to those best prepared to create that future today. What I have shared today and am sharing today as viable solutions and counter strategies are intended to serve the needs of a cutting-edge leadership vanguard. Are you in that frontier group of leaders? I asked the question. Let's go forward. Next, they did mention mycelium. And I want to go forward with this subchapter of the same chapter. Again, the chapter just been reading from, bear with me where we get back. The chapter I've just been reading from, the chapter is Conscious Cooperation for a Sustainable Future. The subchapter, Bioregeneration for a Sustainable Planet. Now I want to talk about innovating with mycelium fungi as bio-friendly materials. And this would also include other bio-friendly materials such as bamboo, hemp, and algae. There are a bunch of them, much of which I've talked about in previous books, including Futurenomics. I mentioned a lot of these different products and sustainable development using them, Futurenomics. First of all, let's get a definition from Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica, now just called Britannica. Mycelium filament, the mass of branched tubular filaments, hyphae of fungi. The mycelium makes up the thallus, or the undifferentiated body, of a typical fungus. It may be microscopic in size or developed into visible structures, such as brackets, mushrooms, puffballs, rhizomorphs, which are long strands of hyphae cemented together. Sclerotia, hard, compacted masses. Stinkhorns, toadstools, and truffles. At a certain stage, it produces spores directly or through special fruiting bodies. Mycelium. So mycelium fungi is really quite complex. And what is now being developed, and this is cutting edge frontier development, is that they're taking these natural occurring bioregenerative substances and using them to create products everywhere from food to building materials. Let me continue. As the world moves toward a circular economy, and I would say has moved towards a circular bioregenerative economy, key solutions are coming to the forefront. Mycelium filament-based materials are gaining attention for their potential to replace petrochemical-based products and reduce environmental impact. Mycelium-based technology is a fascinating and innovative field that leverages the natural properties of fungal mycelium to create sustainable and versatile materials. Now, here's what I can do. I'm going to take that paragraph right there, and I'm going to actually move it up before the Britannica excerpt so that I have that in context. So, continuing. Here are some key points about mycelium-based technology. Point 1, mycelium growth. Mycelium is the vegetative part of a fungus, consisting of a network of branching fibers called hyphae. When introduced to a substrate like agricultural waste, the mycelium filaments grow and bind the substrate particles together, forming a solid composite. Whoa, wait a minute. You know what immediately comes to mind when I hear about that? It's asphalt. This is a fungus that would bind to a substrate like agricultural waste and turn it into a solid composite. Point 2, sustainable materials. Mycelium-based materials are biodegradable and environmentally friendly. They can be used as alternatives to traditional materials like plastics, leather, and construction materials. Point 3, applications. Mycelium composites can be used for insulation, paneling, and other construction materials. Packaging. Mycelium can be used to create biodegradable packaging materials. Fashion and textiles. Mycelium can be processed into leather-like materials for use in fashion and accessories. Point number 4, food. Mycelium can be cultivated to produce meat alternatives and other food products. Now, I'm not a big fan of meat alternatives. I'm not a big fan of processed food, and ultimately mycelium would be processed food. But at the same time, it's a naturally occurring fungus, and people commonly eat fungi, especially across the spectrum of mushrooms. And the fungi absolutely, undeniably contribute to advancing human health. So let's go forward, and I get excited. And let me just kind of close this section on mycelium. I'll probably have to add more to it. Just sharing this brief overview of the practicality of incorporating mycelium products into a sustainable future is quite exciting to me. Exciting or exiting? Let's make it exciting. I think this is very exciting. I hope you do agree. Here we go. Next, I want to go to the subchapter called Key Principles for Conscious Cooperation. This book's theme, and here, one second here, let me just make sure anybody in our listening audience that you get included in it. For Africa 1, I see you. She says, I'm buzzing. I thought you would be excited by today's conversation. Queen Mother Kashiba has joined the conversation today. She says, Hatep family, what is mycelium? I hope you did hear a discussion. Real quickly, let me just go back and share the Britannica definition to answer your question, because you may have missed that part. Where are we at? Not here. Let me go back to, I'm going to share the excerpt from Britannica. Mycelium, where we is, key principles. Here we go, innovating with mycelium. Here's a description from Britannica. Mycelium filament, the mass of branched tubular filaments, hyphae of fungi. The mycelium make up the thallus or undifferentiated body of a typical fungus. It may be microscopic in size or developed into visible structures such as brackets, mushrooms, puffballs, rhizomorphs, which are long strands of hyphae cemented together, sclerotia, hard, compact masses, stinkhorns, toadstools, and truffles. At a certain stage, it produces spores directly or through special fruiting bodies. So again, mycelium are vegetative in origin. They are of the flora species, flora and fauna. It's not an animal, it's a flora species. But as with mushrooms, are wonderfully diverse and can be very useful for the benefit of sustainable human development. And one of the key aspects of mycelium is ultimately it's biodegradable. Depending on the structure it's been created in would make it biodegradable. I hope that responds to your question, beloved. Alpha the Alchemist, I see you in the house. Greetings, Brother Keaty and Owado and the global family. Just checking in. Great to have you with us. For Africa 1 says, pineapple leather is another sustainable innovation. Yeah, that is so true. Did I put this in a book? I know I've done a broadcast. Yes, there is one book which I did not release to the public. It was really kind of for a private project. It was entitled Growing Uganda 2021 through 2025, where I talked about things like utilization of pineapple waste, using bamboo, hemp, flax, linen, and other biodegradable products, and starting to construct more and more materials out of them. And this is happening in the world. This is already going on. Does it have room to grow? Absolutely. Anytime we're looking at clothing that's flooding the marketplace, that's made out of synthetic materials made from petrochemicals, we do know there is great room for that to be competed against. So thank you for Africa 1 for being on top of this. And I do have, and it's probably not up on my Rumble page. It was up on the YouTube page, which was the whole 2,000 videos was dumped when I was accused of spreading disinformation over the pandemic. But, we go forward. We don't die. We multiply. And so to those of you following along, listening along, I do have a secondary YouTube page up now, and I'm being less provocative. If I have any programs that kind of are a little provocative or kind of push the parameter of what our liberal, not so liberal, what they call them, where they block your conversation if they don't agree with your ideological or cultural positions. You know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to dwell on them too much because we are at a part of the book where we're really emphasizing on collaboration, cooperation, and that does not include censorship of ideas, especially science-based ideas that contradict the mainstream sanctioned narrative. We're not about that. We are about opening up to contrary ideas because that is the place where we find innovation, and hopefully innovation leads to sustainable progress. So going forward, great to have you in the house for Africa One, Queen Mother Kashiba, Brother Alpha the Alchemist. I am because we are. We continue. We're in this section of this chapter, the chapter again, conscious cooperation for a sustainable future. Now, key principles for conscious cooperation. This book's theme is codified in this chapter's title, Conscious Cooperation for a Sustainable Future. Toward this understanding, I want to emphasize the following key principles that are related. And again, toward this end, I want to emphasize the following key principles related to achieving this massive transformative purpose, MTP, for our planet and for our collective future. As John Lennon sang of this powerful theme of imagining a transformed and peaceful destiny for humanity, his words, imagine all the people living for today. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. John Lennon. Powerful words. So we strive to build our imagination to a stage of worldwide collective work and responsibility. We, the family of humanity, have the right and the responsibility to build a world based upon the following 21 key principles. Number one, and I'll just let you know I was working on this morning, combining results from a bunch of different searches and trying to refine them into one solid narrative without it being too long, even though I'll be honest with you, just the following 21 key principles could themselves form the basis of a book. Number one, adaptability. Embracing change and being open to new ideas is crucial for sustainability. Adaptability allows communities to respond to evolving environmental challenges and societal needs, fostering innovation and resilience in cooperative initiatives aimed at creating a sustainable future. Adaptive learning embraces flexibility and continuous improvement as vital in a rapidly changing world. This encourages stakeholders to reflect on shared experiences, learn from past successes and failures, and adjusting strategies accordingly, ensuring that conscious cooperation remains effective and relevant to sustainability challenges. Number two of these 21 key principles, adaptive governance. Encouraging participatory decision-making, continuous learning, authentic democratic leadership, and adaptability in governance structures ensures that all ensures that all stakeholders have a voice in shaping strategies for sustainable development. Number 3, collaboration. Building partnerships between the grassroots, NGOs, public and private sectors, the educational systems, and mass media, all work together towards common sustainability goals that best serve national and transnational entities. That's number 3, collaboration. Number 4, collective responsibility. Understanding that everyone has a role in achieving sustainability fosters a sense of shared ownership. Collective responsibility encourages individuals and organizations to actively participate in creative solutions, recognizing that their actions contribute to the overall health of the planet and its communities. Number 5, education. We have a critical need to completely reform the public schools and overall socialization infrastructure toward the aim of raising awareness and understanding about sustainability issues through lifelong education and never ceasing community outreach. Never ending, never ceasing community outreach. Point 6 of 21, empowerment. Now, these are, of course, in alphabetical order. Encouraging individuals and communities to take initiative fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility. Empowerment leads to active participation in sustainability efforts as people feel motivated to contribute their skills and knowledge toward collective goals. Empowerment. When I was reading that, it reminds me exactly of why I am excited and turned on and encouraged when you comment, when you, our listeners, start to participate actively in the conversation, as opposed to passive participation, which I don't even know whether you're there, whether you just have this thing streaming and you're cleaning the room, running a vacuum cleaner. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. And we do need to do a better job of letting each other know that, yes, we are all in this responsibly together. We really can do better. Number 7, inclusivity. Engaging all voices, especially marginalized communities, ensures diverse perspectives are considered in decision making. Inclusivity fosters equity and social justice, leading to more comprehensive and effective solutions that address the needs of all members of society. Including diverse voices and perspectives is essential for effective cooperation, promoting equitable solutions that address the needs of various communities and ultimately leading to more comprehensive and sustainable outcomes, and promoting equality and fairness. Number 8, innovation, one of my favorite words. Encouraging the development and implementation of new technologies and governance solutions that support sustainable practices. Number 9, interconnectedness. Recognizing that all life is interconnected fosters a sense of responsibility toward one another and the planet. Understanding that our actions impact the environment and society encourages collaborative efforts to create sustainable solutions that benefit all. Number 10, long-term commitment. Focusing on sustainable outcomes requires dedication over time. Long-term commitment emphasizes the importance of perseverance, in addressing environmental challenges, encouraging stakeholders to invest in enduring relationships and solutions that benefit future generations and the planet as a whole. Number 11, long-term thinking. Prioritizing future generations in decision-making promotes sustainable practices. Long-term thinking encourages stakeholders to consider the environmental, social, and economic impacts of their actions, leading to more responsible choices that support a thriving planet for centuries to come. Prioritizing sustainable development and responsible decision-making over short-term gains, recognizing that long-term success depends on balancing economic, social, and environmental considerations. Number 12 of 21, mutual respect. Valuing the contributions of all participants is crucial for successful cooperation. Mutual respect encourages collaboration by acknowledging diverse skills and insights, fostering a supportive environment where individuals feel empowered to share ideas and work together toward sustainable solutions. Number 13, people, planet, and profit. Aligning business goals with environmental, social, and economic sustainability, recognizing that long-term success depends on balancing the well-being of all stakeholders. Number 14, precautionary approach. Proactively addressing environmental challenges, prioritizing prevention over reaction, and fostering a culture of sustainability and responsible risk-taking. Number 15, principles-based approach. Operating according to fundamental responsibilities in human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption ensures a culture of transparency and accountability. This is so important. This idea of a sustainable, progressive culture to unite us all is the key here. And despite the harshness of politics and greed and avarice and everything we covered in the chapter entitled World War V, the globalist corporations versus the workers' middle class, fostering an environment which allows those of us in across these different strata of societies, including the billionaire class, fostering a different environment that allows us to create sustainability based upon the idea of principles-based approach is so very important. Principles above profits. Principles above profits is the only sustainable pathway forward. That's true. Number 16, resilience. Creating systems and communities that can adapt and thrive despite environmental, economic, and political challenges. And political or temporal challenges. I'm going to repeat that. Resilience. Creating systems and communities that can and do adapt and thrive despite environmental, economic challenges political, or temporal challenges. Environmental, economic, political, or temporal challenges. Thank you. You're welcome, Kitty. Here we go. Number 17, shared visions. A common goal unites diverse stakeholders, guiding collective action toward sustainability. By establishing a shared vision, communities align their efforts, restore resources, and strategies, ensuring that everyone works together effectively to achieve a sustainable future. Developing a common understanding of goals encourages collaboration among diverse groups. A shared vision aligns efforts, fosters unity, and inspires collective action toward sustainable practices, ensuring all stakeholders are committed to the same objectives for a better future for all. Number 18, social and environmental fairness. Promoting equality, respect for individual rights, and addressing social and environmental consequences of business activities, ensuring fair treatment of all stakeholders. Number 19, stakeholder trust and cooperation. Fostering a culture of trust and cooperation among employees, customers, suppliers, and communities, recognizing the value of diverse perspectives and collective action, and cooperation among business, enterprise, employees, customers, suppliers, and communities. Number 20, sustainability. Prioritizing long-term environmental health by reducing waste, conserving resources, and adopting eco-friendly practices. And I did say innovation and adopting eco-friendly practices. Going forward, 21 of 21, we're talking about key principles for conscious cooperation. Number 21, transparency. Open communication and accountability build trust among stakeholders. Transparency in processes and decision making encourages collaboration as individuals and organizations feel more secure in sharing information and resources, ultimately leading to more effective cooperative efforts. Such communications build trust among collaborators. Through sharing information and decision-making processes, stakeholders foster accountabilities. One second. Let me repeat this sentence. Such communications build trust among collaborators. Through sharing information and decision-making processes, stakeholders foster accountability, allowing for more effective cooperation. This principle encourages participants to work together honestly, leading to stronger partnerships and sustainable initiatives. Maintaining openness and honesty in all actions undergirds our ability to build a transforming and trust and accountability. And I think that was the right word, undergirds. I'll have to, here, let me just highlight that. That word's a little cumbersome there. And again, this principle of transparency. So, these principles, in summary, let me write that in summary. In summary, these principles emphasize the importance of balancing economic, social, and environmental considerations, fostering cooperation and trust among stakeholders, and prioritizing long-term sustainability over short-term gains. These principles guide efforts toward a more sustainable and cooperative planetary future. Let me ask, do any of these resonate with you? We listed 21 key principles for conscious cooperation. If none of them resonate with you, then there will be no collaboration and cooperation, at least not from you. Or if none of them resonate, you might want to say, well, these would resonate with me. Why not include the following, which were not on your list of 21? For which my response would be gratitude. Absolute gratitude. I love it when those of you who follow what we do actively engage and participate. Let me double check. No more comments have come in. At least I hope I can get everybody. Can it get you to hit the like button? Wherever you're listening. If you are on YouTube, if you are on YouNow, if you are on my Facebook Live video, wherever you are, your conscious contribution and collaboration is much appreciated. And we do the best we can. Always striving to access better resources to do even better. And I want to thank you. I did put out an appeal yesterday for some of our listeners who've been longtime listeners, if you've never helped, never contributed to the helping us to defer the expenses, it's needed now more than ever. I'm going to be forced to do a fund drive beginning the 1st of December. We used to do it twice a year for over 10 years, and then we stopped doing it. Thinking back now, I never should have stopped doing it. I never did like doing the fund drives. There were times, those of you who are longtime listeners, there were times when you would hear me stay on the air. I think the longest we ever did, while I was on the air, and just with breaks every hour or so, for 8 hours, doing the best we could to raise the funds to keep us going. We stopped broadcasting in 2014 because that became so frustrating, and there just wasn't enough money to sustain it. And it's gotten, unfortunately, back to the point that I have considered stopping for 2025, at least for a while, until I can find a way to recover my own financial stability and pathway forward. I'm not joking. I'm not blaming anyone other than myself for the decisions that I have made that have led to this strangulation. But if you do feel that this is so important, then you're going to be motivated. And when you are motivated, you know that you change and transform the world. The future belongs to those best prepared to create that future today. I'm doing my part. It's not good enough. It's far from good enough. So you can always go to the front page of libradio.com. That's the HTTP, not with the S, HTTP, libradio.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the front page and you'll see you have the ability to make a one-time contribution of any amount. Or if you prefer, you can make a monthly contribution of any amount. And I can assure you, you will be helping out where help is so critically needed at this time and for the future. We got a good sized audience today. Good to see our audience tuning in for this very important topic. We're near the end of the book. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to summarize the book entitled Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. Many of you have seen the book cover no small number of times. Let me just take a moment here and show you the book cover. I'm excited about this book, to tell the truth. Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. And let me show you the book cover. Where you is you is. I have it on my desk. I wake up every morning. There are two upcoming books stare me right in the face saying, Kitty, are you focused? Are you going to get the book done? Here we go. Here's what the book looks like. Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. And let me put this on the screen. Share the window. And there's the book. Share and place it on the stage so you can see it. There it is. Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. What do you think? Does the cover convey anything? Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. The cover has a gradient on the front coming out of the darkness into the light. And the subtitle of the book, The Untold Story of How the Global Economic and Security Order is Shaping Up for the 21st Century. So now you have heard to a great extent of us telling this story. Let me wrap it up for today's conversation. There's still a little bit more for this chapter. And the next section of the chapter is, and let me see, I guess I'll have to take a little bit off the table here, stop the screen sharing, free up a little bit of resources here. And the next subchapter, final subchapter of this chapter, is Caring for a Planet of 9 billion human inhabitants. Some might argue that Earth is incapable of supporting its growing human population. And the growing population is currently approaching 8.2 billion and forecasts to top out at 10 billion by the end of this 21st century. And of course, that's Gregorian calendar reference. In Kemetic calendar reference, we are already in the 63rd century. So let's be clear about that. There are elements of such a hypothesis. No, let me reread this. Some might argue that Earth is incapable of supporting its growing human population, currently approaching 8.2 billion, and forecast to top out at 10 billion by the end of this 21st century. There are elements of such a hypothesis that carry merit. A hypothesis of insustainability, of non-sustainability, that carry merit. Certainly, at the current rates of consumption, waste, toxicity, inequity, and greed, we can expect to witness more suffering due to the exhaustion of critical natural resources. The family of man is on the wrong track. The current rates of consumption, waste, toxicity, inequality, and greed have significant impacts on Earth's finite natural resources. Here's a breakdown of how these 5 factors, consumption, waste, toxicity, inequity, and greed, contribute to these unsustainable impacts on planetary health. The current rates of consumption, waste, toxicity, inequity, and greed have significant impacts on Earth's natural resources. And I ended up repeating that 2 times. So let me just delete that second one. Number 1, consumption. high levels of consumption lead to the depletion of natural resources, such as fresh water, minerals, fossil fuels, and forests. As demand increases, it often results in over-extraction and depletes natural resources at an unsustainable rate. We cannot curse future generations with deforestation, water shortages, the exhaustion of fossil fuels, loss of biodiversity, and extinction of species. And let me add to that, disastrous climate change associated storms. Climate change associated phenomena, let's say, and the possible extinction of species, of multiple species. We are witnessing species extinction. So it doesn't necessarily, I'm saying possible extinction of human species. And just real quickly, disastrous. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay. Number 2 of the 5. Waste. The generation of waste, particularly plastic and electronic waste, pollutes land and water resources. Improper disposal and lack of recycling contribute to environmental degradation and loss of biodiversity. Excessive waste, particularly non-biodegradable plastics and electronic waste, pollutes land and water bodies, harms wildlife, and exhausts ecosystems. Point 4, toxicity. The use of toxic chemicals in agriculture, manufacturing, and household products ultimately contaminates soil and water, harming ecosystems and human health. Chemical pollution, I would say, harming ecosystems, animal, and human health. Chemical pollution exacerbates the loss of biodiversity and the degradation of habitats. Toxic substances generated from industrial processes, agriculture, and improper waste management are affecting both the flora and all animal species of the world. Hazardous waste disposal, including radioactive and, quote, forever chemicals, unquote. Waste poses environmental impacts that can last for centuries if not immediately stopped. Inequity, number 4. Social and economic inequities result in unequal access to resources, lead to overexploitation in certain areas, and distract from investing in sustainable practices. Marginalized communities bear the brunt of environmental degradation. Social and economic inequalities create unequal access to resources. I think it's repeating itself, where some regions face scarcity while others overconsume finite resources. Let me just quickly highlight that and correct that later. Where some regions face scarcity while others overconsume finite resources. The current trajectory, especially among the wealthiest nations, is exacerbating environmental degradation and poverty. This is not sustainable and is a major contributor to wars and criminal conflict. And greed. When companies prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability, this drives many unsustainable practices, including deforestation, overfishing, illegal logging, unsustainable mining, and pollution. A focus on short-term gains undermines long-term sustainability, resulting in narcissistic policies that compromise the health of natural resources for future generations. In summary, the interplay of these factors creates a cycle of environmental degradation that threatens the planet's natural resources, biodiversity, and the well-being of current and future generations. These interconnected factors contribute to the unsustainable use of natural resources, exacerbating environmental degradation, climate change, and social injustices. Addressing these issues requires a holistic approach, a fundamental shift toward sustainable consumption, reduced waste, and equitable access to resources, as well as stronger regulations, corporate accountability, and a more holistic valuation of shared natural resources. All of these factors collectively strain Earth's ecosystems, making it imperative to adopt sustainable practices to preserve natural resources for future generations. That takes us to the end of this chapter. I'm going to be adding one more chapter to the book, and the next chapter I'm going to be adding is a summary. And then, of course, it will have a bibliography to follow. And hopefully, and I'm still working on the bibliography, working on the index, and a number of other key parts of writing a book. This will be my 55th published book, and it will follow within weeks my 54th published book, which is entitled Living Superfood Solutions, which using dietary nutrition practices for chronic disease prevention and reversal. So I'm excited about what my current level of research is producing. I hope some of you are excited as well. I hope you'll be motivated to get your copy of Living Superfood Solutions and Disaster Preparedness for World Wars V and VI. I hope you can be part of the process of informing other people that we have these paradigm shifts now. So on that note, I think I got in a good conversation today. The timing on this is just exactly what we needed. About an 80-minute dialogue. Let me just make sure everybody got your words in. If you want to support our ongoing broadcasts and other initiatives which are action-centered, buy a book today at http://keidi.biz/CRP 2012. If you want to support our ongoing broadcasts and other initiatives, buy a book today. Buy 2 books. There's over 48 of them, I think, up right now on my page, and Amazon has probably about 46 of these or so. Quite a bit. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep track. I try and keep them all on one bookshelf, and even then, looking over there. There'd be times when go over there to grab a book and I can't find it. But we're serious. Obviously, we do believe in literacy and science. We do believe in the power of the pen is mightier than the sword. The book is entitled From Pen to Power. 90 days to write and complete your book. And there's one chapter of the power of the pen is mightier than the sword. I may have to put that chapter or part of that chapter up in this book as an appendix, because ultimately disaster preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6 is not just preparing reactively, but preventively. So we can avoid passing on this plague, this damned plague of war and conflict and exploitation and inequality. We can avoid passing that on to future generations. The pen is mightier than the sword. So let's do the best we can with all of the tools put in our hands by a benevolent, masterful process of creation. I am because we are. And let's be clear, we are a dignified people. We are blessed by the very forces of nature. We live on this beautiful water-covered pearl of a planet floating through the galaxy. Why would we not clean up our act? Somehow, some way, rid our society and our cultures of these degenerative, unsustainable policies and practices, greed, avarice, high, unsustainable consumption, waste. Why would we not get rid of those so that we can be the happy, beautiful, sustainable people that creation intended for us, which is why the universe put us on this water-covered pearl of a planet. I need your help. I'm not ashamed to ask you to help out. Help a good brother. Help a good sister. Help a great family. Help an incredible generation born. You and I were born at this time in the history of the world to save it all from being destroyed. In my generation, old conservative values that sustained despite all of the harsh background circumstances of enslavement, genocide, and all these other things, we still made it this far. And right now we are approaching a position where the density of humanity on this planet and these mega cities has put us all in grave danger. Not all of these mega cities are so incredibly toxic. This was actually one thing I was going to do this morning. Let me see if I can real quickly in the background. This is going to be part of tomorrow's conversation. List the top 20 cities, large cities in the world with the most sustainable, prospering environments to raise a family, raise, R-A-I-S-E, a family, in peace and prosperity. So bear with me, I got to spell it right. Family in peace and prosperity. And I'm pushing this into one of the 4 AI search engines that I use, but I'm also going to copy this as I go to search for that, and I'm going to paste this over here. This is going to be tomorrow's conversation, which is the summary chapter of the book. But everything begins with a good question, a hypothesis, something put on the table that is about what it is. And I don't necessarily agree with this list, but I'll refine it. Because the list that came up immediately had some names in it that I question whether they should be on this list. I'll have to refine and get deeper in the inquiry. where we're listing 20 top large cities in the world with sustainable practices. And let me just quickly share with you what came up. And I guess if you consider the large cities, the number of their people, their population, and the sustainability, I guess you could understand. But they say number 1, London, UK. Number 2, New York, USA. Number 3, Paris, France. Number 4, Japan. Number 5, Berlin. Number 6, Singapore. Number 7, Oslo, Norway. Number 8, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Number 9, San Francisco, USA. Number 10, Chicago. Number 11, Copenhagen. Number 12, Zurich. 13, Bristol. 14, Portland, Oregon. 15, Lisbon. 16, Reykjavik. Reykjavik. Number 17, Hong Kong. 18, Montevideo, I think is how it's pronounced. 19, Santiago, Chile. And number 20, Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'll have to look and see what criteria that they're using to say that these are sustainable. These are big cities, and we can appreciate what is there. What I'm going to do real quickly, these cities are recognized for their efforts in sustainability, green spaces, and overall quality of life. Do any of these cities interest you? Yeah, a couple of them do. So again, that's going to be a part of tomorrow's conversation as I summarize the book and as we're looking for models to replicate as we can go forward with sustainability. So on that note, did I get everybody in? Okay, I think I got everybody in. If you want to support LIB Radio, our ongoing broadcasts and other initiatives, and I want to emphasize that word initiatives because we're getting ready to take a large set of books to the African continent. I'm actually trying to set up a book publishing company for print on demand in Africa. If anybody's interested in owning a business where there's a huge need and an even huger gap in fulfilling that need, then let's imagine together. I really don't think that Africa is going to go the way of America, where we have all of these book publishing companies and they're all struggling right now to convince the public to start reading books again. We had a house guest over the weekend, and she was an avid scholar and a book fan and an intellectual, and I was so happy because I could reach on my bookshelves and pull off books, and she would eagerly, enthusiastically read it and understand it. I love being around intellectual people. So, Francine, you know I'm talking about you. And on that note, I want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in today. To your favorite, we aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIBTV, and LivingBlack.com. Two things I want to point out. Number one, if you're in Las Vegas, we are going to be continuing our first Saturday feast that we have done for many years. We're going to be continuing that. So the first Saturday of the month of December is on, let me give you that date of the month. The first Saturday of December is December 7th, a day which will live in infamy. December 7th is the first Saturday of December. So there we're going to have a Living Superfood Feast. Now, hey, we had a Living Superfood Feast over here just this weekend. And I'm not going to show you the picture right now, but you should have seen the plate that I photographed. My plate. It didn't have all the dishes on it. I didn't have room for my dessert on the plate, but it was really quite spectacular. I don't think I have it on this computer right now to be able to show it to you. And then also beginning December, for those of you interested, we're going to do a field trial of a nutrition-based program. And real quickly, the nutrition-based program is entitled Holistic Stem Cell Development. Here's the program. The Stem Cell Rejuvenation Course with Coach Kitty begins December 1st, 2024. The program encompasses a 56-day guided regimen. It's not going to be difficult, but you just have to just discipline yourself and stay on track for 56 days. For some of it's hard to stay on track for even 3 or 4 or 5 days. I'm talking about 56 days. If you can stay on this track for 56 days, you have essentially assured yourself 30 years or more of extended healthy lifespan. I'm serious. This regimen is so detailed, so thorough, so practicable that you stay on it and get at least 30 years or more of extended life expectancy, above the 78 years of life expectancy, 78 and a half years of life expectancy in the United States. Add 30 years and more of that, you've gone past 100 years of life expectancy. You're looking at a person who is pledged to live to be 126 years of age. Now, I know a lot about longevity, and I understand why some people say 126, that would make you the oldest man in the world. By the time I turn 126, I will be far from the oldest man in the world. It will actually be far more common than what people today can imagine, especially after 3 years of this declaration of this international emergency, saw life expectancy decline in the United States. Among certain ethnic groups and a few other nations of the world, life expectancy declined because of that catastrophe, but not all of us. Some of us came up with wonderful immune boosting systems, implemented them, and thrived. So, this program encompasses a 56-day guided regimen, has 3 course books, including Living Superfood Life, Living Superfood Longevity, and Living Superfood Recipes Volume 2. You will learn key principles of regenerative biology. We will detoxify our bodies with a collective detox and environment, a focused approach on epigenetic processes and functional medicine, dietary guides for optimizing stem cell proliferation, natural means of activating 2 types of stem cells. Those are MSCs and ATSCs, whether those bone marrow derived stem cells and bone marrow mesenchymal stem cells, BMSMCs, and the other type of stem cells. I'm going to teach you about them and understand how we naturally proliferate and differentiate them. And the other one being adipose tissue stem cells. You will get access to a proprietary formula for a daily rejuvenation smoothie. And let me tell you, this daily rejuvenation smoothie, I can't imagine that anybody else has developed a formula like this. It is the bomb. You will get access to supplementation that builds, and I'm going to give you a list of supplementation that builds natural, holistic stem cell development. This also includes a 3-day guided water fast jumpstart. Includes a weekly Zoom webinar and a group set up on WhatsApp, a conscious peer-to-peer support group. And also, this package includes a 1/2-hour one-on-one consultation with Coach Keedy. Single payment, $299. Hey, let me tell you, and you saw in the research I produced this week, stem cell therapies from the mainstream medical establishment, that we will be usurping them by teaching the body how to do this the way the body was designed to produce and proliferate and differentiate stem cells. But the medical policies that are out here, the minimum stem cell therapy I could see across all the ones I checked was about $2,500 US dollars for stem cell therapy. The most expensive one was a one-time stem cell therapy that cost $2.1 million. That was one time. If we're going to train the body to do this every day, all day, in the last 1 minute that I've been talking, my body created 300 million new cells. The stem cells have been active the whole time. We ask the question, what is your body creating new cells out of? Then becomes problematic because a lot of us say, oh, the junk food I ate all weekend long. And we wonder why the body is so far away from homeostasis, from balance. We wonder why. So the 2 payments, if you want to make it in 2 monthly payments, $159.99. There is no deal on the planet like this, period. So I want you to use the following link to schedule your free 15-minute strategy conversation with your brother, Coach Keedy, to get on board this. You can, once you get through the strategy, we can then set up a payment schedule, or we can do a one-time payment. You get the extra discount, and I'll get the books in the mail and ship them to you as fast as we possibly can. People, we have a chance now to be the masters of our faith, the captains of our soul, no longer victims to a matrix so powerful, so dominant, so exploitive that I'm calling that matrix World War V. You're hearing me. You're not a fool. You are not stupid. Some of us may just be uncommitted, but we're not fools. We are not stupid. So go to CoachKeedy.com. I put up the link, HTTP. Oh, I put it up, and it, for some odd reasons, keeps putting an S. This is not HTTPS. This is HTTP. That's the one you're going to go to, HTTP. If you go to HTTPS, for some odd reason, it takes you to someplace else that I don't intend you to go. And someone else set this up, and they've never been able to change that. I wish they would, but it is what it is. They do what they do. So let's do the best we can do. On that note, I want to thank you all for tuning in today. If you want to support us, go to libradio.com and let's get this party started. In the meantime, let's be good citizens. Let's be good human beings. Let's be nice to each other. Let's stop standing on opposite sides of the same room, hurling epithets and cruelties at each other. Stop making accusations out of thin air that person is inferior to me or whatever. We just had this horrible, nasty, bitter political battle, and it is far from over. Can we do better than that? I believe yes, we can. But you may think I'm a dreamer. I assure you, I am not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and that the world of 8.1 billion people, approaching 8.2 billion, that this world will start to live out its greatest potential, its promise of prospering humanity and all the other good things that we know about. You've been tuned in to LIB Radio, LIB TV, and livinginblack.com. I want to thank you all for doing what you do, for being part of this sustainable family. I am, because we are. And you know something? We are a great and noble people. That's who we are. On your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV. We are livinginblack.com. Peace, y'all.